And there's a way, I don't know if you use Dreamweaver, but there's a way to plug Dreamweaver into WordPress and, you know, manipulate that. I don't do that. I tried, it was a pain, but.
I don't like it either. I just didn't. See, your code's a lot shorter and it's a lot longer.
Right.
I'm Joseph. I am a web developer working with Meetup, formerly Cody L. And
Mrs. Cody came over. She comes over to the other.
yeah, she's doing this.
Cool.
My name's Aaron, and I market Chinese herbs. I have a website. I'm not sure how to use it.
I'm Bob. I've been in broadcast, video, TV production for 28 years. Run actually a couple of old businesses, 2 different websites. But I'm also busy. Actually, I'm working on one of my websites right now. But I always like to learn more, so I can instruct people I'm working with what I need done.
And Bob has a video studio that I've been to, and it's pretty cool. I mean, it's the real deal. He does all kinds of health-related.
Well, I run a TV. One thing we do is run a TV show on natural health and well-being, and I also work with a lot of small businesses, helping them get with video on their website or like that. Work. So.
You were. Sid.
Yeah, hi, I'm Sid. I'm a programmer from the old school, so C programmer. That's the lowest possible code that you can write. Makes your hardware work. So the stuff that makes your phone work is what I work on. WordPress is somewhere in the sky to me. So I want to learn what's up there as well. I might also come up with a few websites of my own, complement my work down there. So that's why
You're kind of up and down, aren't you?
I'm all over the place.
I'm Jack. One of those websites and played with a few products and settled on WordPress and showed up in a lot.
And you usually go to Scottsdale meeting,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
That was a good week.
Yeah, it's good.
It was good.
I'm Sherry, and I work with small businesses, creating WordPress sites, and then I usually also ties in probably the home marketing, so a lot of the social and analytics and all that.
I'm Bart. I'm more of a communications writing guy than I am a web guy, but I like to get myself in trouble with technical things I don't understand. So.
I'm Ava. I have a small home-based business called eSmart Social Media Marketing, which includes more nowadays WordPress websites than it does e-commerce.
Nice, good job.
But I'll do both, so Facebook pages.
My name is Antonia. I work in the real estate industry, and WordPress is my hobby, and the website is my government.
Cool.
I'm Susan, and I'm still stuck kind of at the beginning. I kind of use WordPress, but I need a lot of help, so Rich, you can take it off.
Want to introduce yourself now or later? Okay. We'll save the best for last. He's our guest speaker. You want me to go or you want to go?
I'll go. I'm Mark, and I do WordPress stuff. I help local businesses get found, and all the stuff I do is for my own businesses. But I started going to the Scottsdale meetup about 1.5 years ago, and I would learn something in the meeting, and then I would go home and figure it out. And then I would go back to the meeting and ask questions and learn, and then I'd go home and figure it out. And I learned so much by coming to these meetings. But there's one in Chandler, there's one downtown, and there's one in Scottsdale. Well, Brandy and I wanted to have one over here where we live. So here we are.
I'm Brandy Lawson. My company is Tech Girl. I help businesses put technology to work for them so that they can focus on what makes them money instead of what drives them crazy. Mark and I host this meetup. We are on air, but we do not have my presentation loaded yet. So I'll try to do some of these announcements from memory. The most important thing is you'll notice we are not at Elevate Coffee Company. Good job on finding the location. Thank you. Elevate is booked for the remainder of the Thursdays in the year. So that's not a problem for us for November and December because we had to move our meetup anyhow because we didn't think we'd have much attendance on Thanksgiving or Christmas. So we moved our meetup to Tuesday that week. Anyhow, if we would like, for the next 2 months, September and October, we could meet Tuesday, the 4th Tuesday,
Right.
and Elevate is available. So if we want to move our meetups to Tuesdays for the remainder of the year, we could go to Elevate. How does that sound?
Maybe it's not big enough anymore.
I think we could still comfortably.
Supposedly about 25 people at Elevate. So we'll see. We'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Anyways, it's Tuesday.
Does anyone object? Does anyone that totally screws up their schedule and they're going to cry all the way home? Yeah. All right. Well, then it is so. I have booked Elevate. We are going to be there. They're not going to book it out from underneath me. So we'll be at Elevate next month, but on a Tuesday. Mark your calendars. I'll send a reminder. Tuesdays. 4:30 Tuesdays. Now, then when we get to November, before you're hungover from Thanksgiving dinner, we can talk about if we want to continue to do Tuesdays, because Thursdays should be opening up starting in January. So we can have that conversation in a couple months. But for the remainder of the year, 4th Tuesday. Oh, Ita, thank you. He's still trying. Other announcements. There is an Arizona WordPress group on Facebook, but it's a closed group. So it's WordPress PHX. So make a note, if you're on Facebook and you'd like to join, it is a group where questions get asked and answered.
And the WordPress.
Just click on this one.
The WordPress Arizona is what we're under. It really started in Chandler, but on Meetup.com. And then we also have, there's a website there as well. I don't know what the address is of the WordPress. There's a Meetup website, but then WordPress Arizona has their own.
I think it's Arizona azwordpress.org. Yeah, something like that.
Where is it? WPAZ.
No, it's not that short. It's either got WordPress spelled out or Arizona spelled out.
And there's a lot of resources on there, and we're trying to, make sure that there's more and more, resources on there. It's a great group of people. Did anybody go to WordCamp last year?
Oh,
there we go. Yeah. So they're talking about, I think they've got a person that's going to organize it this year. That was the big thing. And apparently WordCamp Central can be kind of particular about their guidelines for having a WordCamp. But there were 750 people registered last year for WordCamp, and it was awesome. I mean, you guys it was seriously great.
The food wasn't bad, great.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to do it before. It's all right. Just do it. Other announcements, so the Facebook group, the meetings, I think that was the primary ones, making sure. For those of you that are new, check out the meetup site for the other meetups around the valley. This particular meetup, we try to focus on WordPress, quick, fast, and easy, but right. So the convenient way to get things done, and then also marketing. So you have a website, now what do you do? So that's our main focus here at this particular meetup group. The Scottsdale meetup group does a wide variety of great presentations, but they do developers quarterly. So they tend to be a little bit more technical, not all the time, but for sure once every 3 months. Chandler group is sort of A to Z, beginning to end. They've covered everything and done like a full tutorial on lots of different things. And then the one that meets downtown is focused on the business of websites. So if you build websites for a living, not necessarily WordPress, but a lot of people who do it and do WordPress, there's lots of open communication forum there. So that's the rest of the group. We will, since my slides don't like this, we'll proceed to open forum. So this is the part of the meeting when you bring up your questions or share your events or anything else that's going on. This is all your guys' meetings, so this is open forum time. Go. Yeah.
And I know it relates, well, it says it relates to size, but on sliders, every time I try to do a slider, it doesn't matter what size I'm putting in there, or what size I tell it to be, it still extends outside of the slider. I just can't seem to get it to fit in there.
Well, does anybody have any experience with this? Wants to chime in?
I have a little bit.
I was gonna say, you should be the expert. I'm working on mine.
Not yet. So the site I'm working on for Bob, we have a slider, but because his business is in-office video for chiropractors. We wanted to have a TV screen there, and I worked and worked and worked, and I couldn't get it to be responsive. It would work on a regular computer, but every time you'd switch it down, it would mess it all up, which is kind of the same idea. So I got these guys called Slider Villa, and I found a slider and actually built it for me, and they're really responsive as far as helping you make stuff work. So go to slidervilla.com, and I'm sure they're going to have a slider, and some of them are paid, some of them are free, that's responsive, or that's also going to fit. In my mind, a slider shouldn't really be based on what size image you have. The slider should actually crop it for you, and some of them have in the settings area where you can tell it, crop this to fit. Because who wants to mess around and make 15 images? I mean, you have to sometimes, but
Well, I go to that section, and you can sit in there and crop it, and I can I can drop text on it, and I can look at it. It shows me it's fitting and everything. It looks wonderful. Go ahead and open up the website, and all of a sudden I'll have it'll be outside the slider, parts of it.
Can you crop it and do it in Photoshop so that it's the exact size you need, or?
Well, the problem with responsive is there is no exact size that you need.
It should do it automatically. And I have put specific sizes because it'll give you a recommendation. And I know how to crop pictures and set it up beforehand before I even load it.
When is it just the image that's
sticking out?
Well, is it messed up on the page, like it's out, but the image
No,
is
it's not
just blown out?
stretching it. No, it's not pixelating it or stretching it. It looks decent, but I may have a picture of two people, and in the picture, when I'm putting it together, cropping it, I'll crop out the sky, and I'll squeeze it down, and all of a sudden they have the head again. I'll make the picture smaller.
So when you're putting in the slider, you're just dropping the shortcode into it.
No, well, this is actually, the shortcode's already in there. The last, because I've done this on a couple different ones. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. The last one I'm using is Divi, and it has the shortcode in it. It's just you just drop it.
If it's cutting their heads off, usually you need to make the picture bigger.
Maybe
give it more, and you try that.
Maybe the theme, the div for the theme is
it's probably the CSS property about cover versus, I don't remember what's, because I've struggled with the same thing. And it's just like, you can't make heads or tails. Like, what size do you need to put this thing on there? So I haven't found a great solution. I just basically give it more of the image so that what I want of the image shows up on the page.
Maybe that could be, and I've been doing everything in their program, so I'll try that.
Yeah, if you're getting heads cropped, I give it more of the image so that it's cropping what I don't care and the heads get up in the image.
Another thought I've had before is sometimes if it's stating it like in the media section, if you don't delete the old picture that you don't want anymore, sometimes it keeps trying to call back.
That's a good tip.
I have to make sure some things will stay there and some don't. You might check because it might be trying to bring the same one.
Right.
If there's like maybe similar.
Okay.
Great. Hope we helped you along. Yes.
Do you have a favorite SEO plugin?
So I personally use WordPress SEO by Yoast. I used to use All-in-One SEO. And my experience here is that what happens is that there's usually two plugins that are pretty good and they kind of do this. The reason I personally switched to the WordPress SEO by Yoast was I found for Facebook, it was doing all the open graph stuff correctly, where I was not getting that with all-in-one SEO. So I also do like the green light, red light, orange light, yellow light scores that it gives you for ranking SEO. I find that to be helpful for me, helpful for clients when trying to do all the things you need to do to make a page SEO friendly. So that's what I chose. Those are the things. Anybody else want to chime in? You got a question?
Different question.
Okay.
But if you're done with that.
Yeah.
And I back you up on the red light, green light, yellow, it really helps. And it helps you adjust real specific parts of what you're doing for SEO.
Yes. Anybody else want to weigh in on SEO?
Should do it. We should do it. That could be an on forever topic.
Go for it.
Topic.
Next topic.
Somebody, I can't remember if it was you or somebody else at the last meetup when we were over in Scottsdale. I've noticed in my notes about caching, they were recommending using a caching plugin, and I looked into it at one time and just had a hard time kind of figuring out what it does, what the risks are, possible risks involved.
Yeah.
If there is risks in doing that. Or,
So, do you understand what caching is?
I guess that's part of the thing I don't.
Okay.
Guess what caching does.
So WordPress is so cool because it's a content management system. That means that your website actually doesn't exist. That page that you're looking at doesn't exist until someone asks for it. What does exist is a whole bunch of information in a database and a whole bunch of information about how that data should be presented. And when somebody asks for a web page, it goes, oh, here's the data. Oh, here's how it should look. Bam, here's a web page. So it's dynamically building all of these web pages, which is so cool, because that means when you make a change and you go check your site, boom, it's there. And if you make a change to the menu and you go check your site, boom, it's on all the pages. You couldn't do that if it wasn't dynamically generating things. Now, that's all good and well and fine and fantastic for this world, but for the world of people trying to retrieve your page and how much work your server has to do every time somebody's coming to your site, that's not so good. It means that every time there's a request, it's having to generate a page. And for large sites, that can be really, really onerous.
Did you see the Technorati one? 17 seconds to load it.
Plus, people aren't going to wait around that long. So that's where caching comes in. What caching does is it goes through and actually requests all your pages and creates a copy of them and stores it in memory. So that when somebody comes by and goes, hey, here's the page, hey, here's the page, all right, I got the page, it doesn't have to be created, here you go, here you go, here you go. And it speeds things up. Now, there's actually at least 2 layers of caching, probably 3, because that can happen on your computer. Your browser can be handling that. Because if you go to a website and it downloads all the images, and you go back to that website, it's not going to re-download all those images. It's going to use the ones that it just downloaded, because why would it download it again? What if you change something? So that's where caching can kind of get a little interesting and sticky, is it needs to know when I should get something new and when I should hang on to the one I've got. So there's a caching layer on the browser, and there's a caching layer on your website, and a caching layer on your server. Those two can kind of go back and forth. Your host will usually try to help you and provide some level of caching. It varies by host. There are caching plugins for WordPress, which again tries to do this job of making sure that there's a copy of your website readily available for anyone coming by, especially search engines, so that it loads as quickly as possible. There's also caching at the DNS layer. So if you're using Cloudflare, we've talked about Cloudflare sometimes before. If you're using Cloudflare, they've got a cached version of your site. They serve up that version if your web host goes down, because if your web host goes down, any cached version that's on your server can't get to it. So Cloudflare does that for you. Your site can do it, because I use SiteGround. I have SiteGround's caching. It uses Memcache and Dynamic Cache. And that's good because it's the host has the plugin and everything works nicely together. If you use one of, I think it's W3 Total Cache, and there's one other caching plugin, you want to be a little careful because sometimes the things that it's trying to do or wants to do may not always work well with your host. So if your host has a caching plugin, those things play nicely together, use those. If your host doesn't have a caching plugin and you want to increase the performance of your site, try one of the caching plugins, but start small. Like start with the basics, go to speed test, page speed, Google page speed, or the other speed test, check out how it's doing, make sure it didn't break anything. It's one of those things that either you want to take little baby steps, or you want to hire an expert.
So if you're talking about going to your hosting provider first, so like GoDaddy or whoever it is, check with them and see if they offer something free or paid that can do.
Yes, I would see if they offer or have a recommendation, because a lot of hosts will tune and work well with one plugin over another when it comes to caching. So I would always go check your host's forums or support, see if there's a recommendation that they have, because they may have tuned their servers to work particularly well with one of the plugins.
Yeah.
Or they may have their own like SiteGround.
All right.
So what Randy said about performance is important because Google uses that to some extent as a measurement of where you should rank. And of course, your customer experience or your visitor experience, if they've got to wait for your site to load, we're very ADD these days, and so we're gone, you know. They say under 2 seconds is probably the best for your site to load. That's pretty snappy, you know. And so if you use either on your server caching or Cloudflare caching or one of the caching plugins, I use W3 Total Cache, and you can play with it. Try not to break it, but you play with it and see. I keep going back and forth with the speed test, and I got one down to 0.75 seconds the other day, and it has a lot of graphics on it. So I was glad. Just a couple different little settings, you know, on it, and there's a lot of stuff in it, so I don't know what everything does. So I just keep playing with it and see if I can make it work or not.
So what happens to the site that you referred to that took 17?
They did a whole bunch of stuff. I was watching a video today about what they did to change it. Caching is one of the things that they did, and how this was a code developers thing, and how they did the caching, and how they called the different parts of their website in order to speed it up, basically.
There are many, many factors that affect the speed of how quickly your website loads. Caching is just one of a.
Right. You can in W3 Total Cache, and there's other plugins that'll tell where the JavaScript loads, and that was what this video was about. Was when JavaScript loads, does it wait till that loads to load anything else, or does it load asynchronously, and all this different. These different parameters to do that, and so obviously you don't want anything to stop the website from loading. It's got to have a JavaScript to load, then that's going to slow things down, you know. So, anyways, it's kind of it's kind of a game to try to figure all of it out. I mean, it can get a little complicated, especially because you're writing to your htaccess file, and that, you know, you just worked your site.
Also, just one more thing to add is that it also depends on the network. So sometimes on mobile, it might be very slow because traveling from Phoenix to Flagstaff, then you can't see that. That could be a problem.
Yeah.
So no matter what you do on your server, it might solve.
There's only so many things that are under your control. Right.
Thank you. That
Okay.
helps.
Good. Anyone else? Yeah.
Nobody else?
Oh.
No, I got tons of questions. Okay, child.
Prodigies.
How are those used? It sounds like to me you have, and like I said, I'm really basic when it comes to this stuff, especially WordPress. So when you have your regular theme, it sounds like you can build the child theme and to keep your regular theme so it's responsive. Otherwise, you'll break it if you're doing stuff. If you know how to write a child theme, you can write a child theme to the main one, and it'll do what you want.
Does anybody else want to address this?
How does that work, or what is?
Yeah.
I was playing around with those things, and I read about this, and I tried it. I made a little exercise where I created a child theme, and then I updated the parent theme. And when the parent theme updates, the child theme doesn't work anymore. So from what I read, it's not recommended to do that.
Well, that actually should be not the case.
No.
Because the Genesis framework basically operates on all child themes. If you've got the Genesis framework, you have to use child themes. And the concept is that the parent theme will have regular updates. There's a developer who's done a bunch of stuff, and he's regularly making sure it's secure, and then it's going to be compatible with the next version of WordPress, and then maybe he's adding features and doing other things. So that can change. And some of the things that you may want to do with your website could require that you change things in the functions PHP file. Well, if you do that in the parent theme, When the next update comes, you're going
Right.
to use Mark's term. Fork. Swedish chef, fork. So you don't want to do that, because then you're not going to update your theme, because you're going to afraid it's going to break things, and then your site's going to get hacked, and it's going to be bad. So the child theme exists so that you can make those modifications, so that you can get everything to work like you want it to, and change things that would regularly be in the functions.php file without affecting the parent theme, so that when the parent theme updates, things are still happy, and things still work like you want them to. So the moral of the story is, never change the functions.php file in your parent theme. If you need to do that, there's a couple ways, but one of the other ways is the child theme. But the child theme allows you to have all of your modifications stored nice and separately, so that the parent theme can continue to be updated and not hurt what you've done. Like, oh, what 3 lines of code did I change to make that purple? You don't have to worry about that, it's in your child theme. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I'm not understanding how because like on Divi, there's a place that's dedicated for doing your own CSS.
Yeah, CSS is different.
Okay, so what is the child theme?
The child theme is the PHP.
Okay. So you're writing in PHP?
Well, it'll be CSS as well, though.
Well, yes, it does capture some of the CSS. So where it gives you a place to put in your custom CSS is actually stored off as a separate CSS file. So when the parent theme updates, it doesn't touch your custom stuff. So that's like a micro child theme. Just think of it that way. So the full child theme, it actually replicates a lot of the PHP and the templates and the other things that are going on. And you want to add anything about child themes?
Oh, sorry.
No.
They're just used to override parent theme stuff. I mean, in a nutshell. So if you, PHP is the big thing, but even if you needed to override any CSS, when you create the child theme, you can do it with as little as 1 file. Just style.css, and the child theme is all you need technically to create a child theme. You can just start on your CSS from there, where you can add new files. So for example, let's say you have, are you familiar at all with like how the theme files are built? Index.php or any of those?
Well, I'm not sure exactly which that. In WordPress, no. I mean,
This is real
I know
code.
that,
This is real code talk.
yeah, I understand that it's.
There's a hierarchy of the files, the whole structure of WordPress, between PHP, HTML, and CSS, and it all works together, and there's like a stack, you know.
It's like when you're writing your HTML and CSS, and you've got your CSS files, you got your JavaScript files. I don't know if that's what you're telling me, but
yeah, you can overwrite all of those in your child theme without actually changing them in the parent theme.
Okay.
It's just kind of a safety thing. Yeah, a child thing.
Yeah, and it's also basically how WordPress is put together is that the child theme has final say.
So let me ask you this: there's a hierarchy of like CSS where as you get closer and closer to the actual code, it takes precedence.
Right.
And so, are you saying that you have another file that you write your stuff in that it's just taking precedence over the code in that's already written?
Yes.
So all that's all that they're saying.
Yeah, that's what a child theme does.
Okay. There is simpler term as supposing you have a TV, right? So imagine that you're seeing something on the TV.
Yeah.
And so whatever you're seeing on the TV screen is coming from a website, let's say. And what you could do is you could put in a translucent picture in front of it. Let's assume you could do that. So if you do that, then you're actually seeing through both of them, right? So you're actually seeing parts of this picture as well as what's really on the TV screen. So now, let me change the terminology into something technical and say, this is your child theme, which is in front, and what your main theme is the TV. Sure. So what you're actually seeing is composite.
Right.
So the more you override or the more you change in front, you're actually changing what you can actually see from this side. But if you remove it, you're actually at the back seeing the other TV thing. So the more things that you add in front, you're overriding what's in the back.
So the child theme does the changing. It overrides everything, but you never change the parent theme. So when it gets updated, it doesn't break it.
And I understood that, I just didn't understand what the child theme was or how it was interacting, if there was a set format or what. But I understand what you're saying. So the child theme is coming, basically the hierarchy.
There's videos and explanation of it on the Blue Themes website. Go to the training videos for their Canvas product, and they will explain child themes in exquisite detail and beautifully done videos.
So essentially, a child theme is the same set of files as a parent theme, but you don't have to have all of them.
Right.
You can have all of them.
So you can change the color or the font size or whatever you're trying to adjust.
Even the content necessarily.
Yeah, the content. Usually child themes are used for more robust changes to the theme, like I want a totally different layout for my home page. Good child theme. Most of the time. Everything has to have a caveat. Does that help, Dan?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll do some more.
So who's going to go and start playing with functions.php right now?
It's a trick question. Okay, one more before we hand it over to Ita. Oh, Ava's had her hand up a couple times.
Thank you. Quickly on that child thing, I saw a great presentation about a plugin called Child Themify when I was in Omaha. They were WordPress user group meeting, and I wanted to share it, and somebody had videoed it, and it was excellent, and they took the video down off their Meetup page.
Oh, bummer.
I know, so I don't know well enough to do it now, so. Anyway, my question was going to be, is there a hosting service like there's a Flywheel, which is based in Omaha, where it came from, that allows developers to start up, they'll set up an environment for you, install WordPress, and you can have like a 14-day free platform in which to develop a client website or something like that, and then you can need a little more time, and I'll usually work with you. And then when the client signs off on everything, you can either move it, hopefully keep it at Flywheel, and the customer will pay one of the tiers that they have. But is there something like that here? Some SiteGround like that?
SiteGround doesn't have that kind of functionality. I think the Flywheel is pretty unique in the market with the kind of build before you pay model. I don't know, maybe somebody else does, but I don't know of any other hosts that do that.
SiteGround doesn't accomplish the development part.
What does SiteGround?
SiteGround gives you 30 days free. So but they'll move a WordPress installation for you, but they don't set it up for you. Managed WordPress hosts have WordPress ready to go for you. You don't have to go install it or anything like that, but I don't know of any of them. A lot of them have a period where you pay your money up front, but if you're not happy or if you want to close your account, you've got some 30 to 60 days period to.
How does everybody else do it for their prospects or their clients?
They buy the hosting account before we start.
Okay.
That's how I do it.
Say that again, do what?
My clients purchase the hosting account before we start.
Can you develop the site on your local machine?
Yes, you absolutely can develop locally.
You have to have a web server like IIS or something?
There's many ways to do that. Many tools that will do it. If you look for develop WordPress locally on develops WordPress locally on Google, you'll get lots of different options.
So, but I was doing that right before one of our meetings because I thought, oh, this is the way you do it. And I've done it before, and I had the WAMP stack set up, and I was developing on it, and my computer decided it wasn't going to boot anymore. And I worked, remember that one time? I worked and worked. I finally got it booted. I was able to pull everything off of it, but all of that stuff, I basically don't have it. I mean, I could pull it out, but it was built, because it was set up on that server, on that computer. So I just do it online.
Yeah, with a remote repository.
Yeah, exactly. Use SiteGround and, so that, set up an environment for that,
Okay, quickly, last two things.
Back up. We talked a little bit about it. Is there a good plugin for backing up, or do you You back up a
I
different
feel
way.
like it's my mantra. Backup Buddy is what I use. It's $80 a year, but for me, backing up is one thing.
Now,
Having
is
a good
that
backup,
is that a standalone?
it's a plugin for
Oh.
your WordPress site. It's a plugin. Backing up is one thing. Restoring is another thing, and Backup Buddy does restoring phenomenally. And so that's why I pay for it. There's lots of things that will back up, put your site in a nice package somewhere, but then you have to figure out how to use that package if you ever need to. And Backup Buddy is great.
I host with Lightning Base, and every time I have an issue, I just call him, and he backs it up, and he restores. He's great, Lightning Base, and he's not expensive.
Good. There's a plug for a host that does it.
Quickly back on the hosting, I do the same thing with clients where it's kind of like a live environment if I host with a client, and I guess under likely like what would you do if somebody didn't pay, or have you ever had that happen, or is there like what do you do?
The way that I do it is I have the client, they buy the hosting plan. Like, I want them to have the relationship with the host in the case that I win collaterate and decide I'm not going to do WordPress development anymore or whatever happens. I always want them to have that direct relationship, so they buy it. And
that way they're not calling you when you're...
and typically I would say, like, unless you think you're going to change your business or change plans in 6 months, just buy the year and get done with it.
And then as you're building like in a live environment, you never had an issue with...
I haven't had an issue.
Hey, you.
Yeah.
As far as development.
No, I haven't had an issue. But I also back up, and store it remotely. All right. I think that we've maybe eaten into Ita's time, but I'm very excited that Ita has come all the way up from the Southeast Valley to be with us this evening to share his WordPress YouTube wisdom.
I am.
Wait, you're not talking about WordPress?
Yes.
What? We're live videos right there. Yes, the videos gave us right. Maybe it's not just my stuff.
No.
Oh,
Yes. So, hi everybody. My name is Ita Uama, and I run a video production company called Beep Move Up Entertainment down in Chandler, Arizona. So a little bit about me and my background. I originally studied mechanical engineering at Purdue University, spent 3 years studying engineering until I realized that I was never going to be Geordi LaForge on Star Trek. I was never going to build a warp engine. I was never going to get a chance to build anything. So I decided if I can't build things physically, I will build them digitally. And so I went not too far from here. I went to the Art Institute of Phoenix and studied computer animation. Shortly thereafter, I got a chance to work on my very first feature film. It's an independent film called Night of the Chihuahuas. It's a terrible little movie. I assure you that none of you have ever seen it, but it's a story of a small Arizona town that's overrun by killer mutant chihuahuas. Terrible movie. The commentary is great. So we shot that, and it was a great experience. I learned a lot of neat little tricks, and that's when I really started getting excited about filmmaking. At about that same time, that's also when I started discovering web series. Those were becoming a lot more popular, and thus getting into things like YouTube. At this point in my life, I would much rather win a Webby than an Oscar. And there's a lot of different reasons for that. So I'm here today to tell you a little bit about YouTube and video marketing. How many of you are actively using YouTube, putting up videos, things like that? Okay, 2. How many people have been thinking about? Okay. And how many people actually go to YouTube and use YouTube? Okay. So, and that's the trend. YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, second only to Google. If you guys didn't know, YouTube is owned by Google, so kind of helps kind of bump up their rankings. So there's a lot of different aspects that I could go into. You'll have to forgive me. I'm going to go with the assumption that all of you guys are fairly new, and so a lot of what I'm going to be sharing, I like to say it's not rocket science, it's advanced common sense. So we're going to start with just the real bare bones basics, and then I'm going to open up for questions so you guys can ask me any questions that you might have. So like I said, I find that because I spend so much time in this world and doing these kinds of things, I forget some of the basics, and one of the most basic questions that I've been asked is, how do I upload to YouTube? So we're going to kind of cover some of the basic steps in that. Obviously, there's a little button up in the corner that says click upload, but after that, what you want to do is you want to pay attention to the information of the data that you're putting in. So things like your headline, very first thing that you see. You should put in what the video is about, and use, this is where you want to use your keywords. Something that's often overlooked is at the end of it, at the end of your description, unless you're already well established, you should put in the brand name. So, for example, I've just started a new web series called Full Field. So on all of my videos, you'll see how to build a script, dash, full field the basics. How to set up an interview, dash, full field the basics. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So again, you know, that's a nice little SEO thing that that Google likes. In addition to that, actually, I don't have it up here, but speaking of naming, when you name your file, before you ever upload it, you normally take a video file and it's named something like 23972.mpeg4 or ABI or whatever. You want to name the file what you're going to name the video. Again, it's not exactly proven how well this is received by the YouTube search algorithms, but it is shown that YouTube sees, they read the file name. So if you're not naming it, you're just giving it more ones and zeros, so it's not really helping you. Second thing, in your description, you want to make sure that you use links. I don't know if you guys have had experience with it, but you can actually put hyperlinks in your descriptions. It's highly recommended. Again, Google likes it. And then you also want to put in your tags down here at the bottom. So your tags should be both broad and targeted, just giving more opportunities to be found in the search engines, making everything very friendly. Make sense so far? Now, another tip that a friend of mine gave me, and I've yet to see if this really has much of an effect, but he also suggests putting in a random tag, something that is unique to you. And the idea is that as that accumulates, and once you start getting more and more viewers and more popular, Google will use that random tag to also cross-index things. So don't know how true it is, but it doesn't hurt anything. So I think I put in TIR.
Did you use a hashtag?
So these are essentially hashtags. So so anything that you would use, like, you just don't need to put the hashtag in front of it, and that's what the tags are doing. Does that make sense?
What's that area called? The indexing?
So this is for tags. So you've got your headline, your description, and your tags.
Can you give a description of what, like, when you say put TIR, and what's the function of that?
Okay, so that's an example of the random tag. So for tags, I have my company name, View From Above. I also have the abbreviation VFA. Video production. This particular video is about, so in my descriptions, broadly, it's View From Above, video production, Chandler, Mesa, Tempe, and what's the other one? Video production, YouTube, content marketing. Okay, so those are the broad terms.
So what happens if your competition starts using your random tag?
Well, then it should be something that's unique to you that they wouldn't have a reason to use it. Does that make sense? Like I said, it's not shown that it definitely does anything, but it's one of those, maybe it may be just an old wives' tale at this point. But I heard it and I said, okay, well, sounds reasonable. So as I was punching in tags anyway, I like to throw my own little, like, I also have my tagline is "Thought is Reality." That has nothing to do with AV scripts or video production. That's just the tagline of my company. So that's what I use.
So can the viewers see that tag?
Yes, they can.
Okay. Yeah. Use the same one?
Yeah.
All the time?
Mm-hmm. But like I said, I wouldn't just use that. I use that in addition to this nice big cloud of tags I'm creating. Okay. Also, you can create annotations. You guys have seen the little ads that pop up on on the videos. So you can kind of create your own annotate, or you can create your own pop-ups and create hotspots embedded in the video. Okay. So, for example, this is an annotation. So that's a hot button in my video. So it just makes it a little bit easier for people if you want them to, for example, subscribe or whatever your call to action is. You can create buttons where they can just click the link and it'll send them to the website.
Where are you building that button? Are you building it on your computer, embedded in the film, or on YouTube?
This is on YouTube. In the YouTube interface, I believe it's 2 tabs over. I'm actually going to go to a live YouTube page, but if I remember right, it's after it's uploaded and you put in your description, it's edit something annotate. I think it's the 3rd one over, and you'll get this screen.
Okay, great.
So, and you can link to another video, you can link to a playlist, you can link to your channel, Google Plus page, subscribe. If you're doing a Kickstarter campaign or a fundraising project, you can link there back to an associated website, or you can link to merchandise.
So you just go through the scrubber and you select a field and you take the length of the time that field's on there and you make that whole thing link?
Exactly right.
Got it.
Cool. Do you guys work on phones, those little annotations?
You know what, I don't know. I think they work on my tablet, but I don't know that I've tried it on my phone. So, yeah, I don't know. I'll have to try it out. So with all of these little notes, as far as the headline and the links, or if I can read right here, headline and the links and the tags, keeping track of them. A really cool plugin for Chrome is the vidIQ Vision Chrome extension. And what it does is you can go back and look at any video, not just yours, but any video, and see their cloud tag, or their tag is cloud. You can also see how many subscribers they have, how many times the videos were shared on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and how long it's been up and the true engagement. So if you want to do some research on existing videos, this is a great plugin to have. The other thing that it does is it'll give you your vidIQ score. And that is based off of how many tags you have, how many links that you have, your description. One of the things that I don't think it's not on this one. It does have a description word count, but it'll give you a green light if you have. Apparently, the magic number is 5 description links, and it doesn't have a number of tags, but having 5 links in your description is ideal. If you have enough words in your description, it flags all of those things and tells you where you rank relative to other videos. I don't know that the vidIQ score necessarily makes you better off, but I think it gives you a good point of reference for, did I remember to get all of these things? Higher is better. Make sense? Awesome. Yes?
I can't read that small bit from here, but can you give me an example of a link that would make sense to be part of the description?
Absolutely. So that actually might be my next. Yes? No. Okay. So a link that would make sense is in my description, at the end of the description, say so this episode is about how to write the AV script and best practices in YouTube. To find out more, you can always visit my website at or find me on Facebook, or find me on Twitter. So I'll use my signature. Mm-hmm. So all of the spoke sites that I use, I'll have all of those in there. If in the video I make reference to something, so I think one of the videos I make reference to Simon Sinek's Golden Circle, I have a link to his video. Those kinds of things. So what you'll find though, is, like I said, when you're using your signature, you're going to use those a lot. You can create defaults so that certain information is automatically embedded into all your video descriptions. So you can do default signatures, links to your social media and things like that, and the tags that you use all the time. Again, I use View from Above, VFA, video production, content marketing, Chandler, Tempe, Mesa. All of those are just set in my defaults so that I don't have to type them in every time I go back. Another very important thing is your channel art. So, since most of you don't have channels, this is a good opportunity to realize that, one, you should have a channel, and you should have really nice channel art. So, the channel art shows up on your laptop, on TV, and on mobile devices. The reason I show this is more and more TVs are getting smarter, and we've got things like Chromecast, and we've got Apple TVs. People are going to be watching YouTube on television sets a lot more. So this is something that shouldn't be discounted. It should be included in your thinking when you're setting up your channel. Additionally, for the aesthetics of your channel, you really want to use playlists. That allows you to create like topics across the board, and it cleans up the appearance of the channel. Okay.
One note on the images, the header images, just an FYI, they do require large images.
That's probably
yes.
on the TV.
Yeah, a lot, like 2,500, I don't know the exact, like 2,500 pixels by.
It's really big.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Like you can't take a little thumbnail of yourself, and it literally won't take it. It'll probably miss.
Yeah. So actually, if you Google YouTube one channel template, you can get a Photoshop template that is that's set to the correct proportions, and you can lay out your channel art there. So any questions about the channels? Yes.
Is it like Facebook and Google Plus where you have your personal YouTube channel, because I know I have one, and then you have a business separate channel for businesses, or is it still just you?
So, or for me personally, or
whatever.
Okay, so so how many people use Google Plus? Okay, so Google Plus and, well, I was going to say something painfully obvious. Google Plus and YouTube are treated as the same beast. But what I mean by that is you have your personal page, you have your personal YouTube channel. If you've got a Google Plus page, you've got a YouTube channel for that as well. And the two can be separate. I put everything on my business channel. I don't have any videos on my personal page. And I'm talking about YouTube.
But you had to set up a personal channel, then add a business page to it?
So I did it kind of backwards. What I would tell people now going forward, if you have a Google Plus page, you have a YouTube channel tied to it. All you have to do is turn it on.
I think what he's asking me is, do you have to have a personal page and then a fan page and a business page? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, because you know how Facebook, you have
a business page, you have a personal page for your Facebook and a fan page for your business. So I think what he's asking is, do you have to have two accounts? One for your business, one for your personal, and then connects it to your business.
Well, it's ruled by the rules of Google Plus. So YouTube doesn't have a structure for personal versus business, but Google Plus does.
Oh.
And when you create your Google Plus business page, you get no included costs just for asking a YouTube channel, even though you didn't have any idea that it did that. So the Google Plus structure gives you that personal business. YouTube itself over here doesn't care everything equal. So if you have a Google Plus business page, you have a business channel, you should use it because they're intertwined.
So should we just go to YouTube and just set up a business channel?
No, Google Plus.
Always go to Google Plus?
Google Plus
dictates. Okay.
Great. Can I ask a question about this? So if you've already got a Google Plus personal page and you want to set up a business page, you do that?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Clear as mud, right?
Yeah, Google Plus.
Yes. So another interesting thing about that that they recently rolled out is if you have you can now create YouTube channel managers. So just like the Google Plus pages, you can invite me to be a manager on your YouTube channel. And again, that runs through YouTube. That runs through Google Plus. So if you invite me to be a manager of your Google Plus page, I have access and can manipulate your YouTube channel tied to that page. So, okay. So now we're going to jump back. We're going to kind of get into some of the video structure. So people always ask me, well, how long should a video be? Honest answer is that your video should be as long as it needs to be and no longer. I think statistics have shown the average runtime for video is about 4 minutes, 11 seconds. It's not a magic number. I really think that you can create great content shorter or great content longer. It's just that you have to have something to say and keep people engaged. So to that end, good video structure, let me show you an example from this gentleman. His name is Tim Schmoyer, and he runs a site called Real SEO, R-E-E-L SEO, and it's my favorite site, one of my favorite sites. So, hopefully, actually, I'm going to leave it muted, or I'm going to jump to the next one. I don't know. Come on, Vince.
This week's free tip, we're going to give you guys the #1 tip for how to make your YouTube channel.
So the reason I want this muted is because it's not so much about what he's saying, it's about the structure of the way the video is set up. So first you do what's called a cold, what I recommend is starting with what's called a cold, what I refer to as a cold open. It's your first 15 seconds. That's the first amount of time that you have to get somebody's attention. Then go into your title slate, or into your title card, show your branding, your logo. Then he does his introduction. Hi, this is Tim Schmoyer from Real SEO, and here's what I'm going to talk to you about today. And then he goes on to do his entire shtick, right? Then at the very end, he gets to the end and he does his call to action. Be sure to subscribe, click the link below, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, it just so happens that this is 4 minutes. But does that make sense? Good. Okay. So the last thing before I really kind of open up to questions is with regards to analytics. What's most important for videos as far as analytics? What's that?
How many people watch it?
Say again? I heard some likes. Anybody? Other shout-outs? Anything? What's that? Shares. Okay.
One pluses.
Watch time. Watch time is the most important thing. YouTube changes their algorithms quite often, as I'm sure you guys know. But what they have found is that as far as when it comes to ranking, your videos ranking on Google, thumbs up, views, likes, shares don't really matter. What's the most important thing is your watch time. How long are people watching your video? Now, with that said, when people share your video, more people can see it, so that can affect your watch time. But by and large, they're focused almost entirely on the watch time of your videos. So that just says make good content, keep people engaged, and you'll increase your watch time and have more successful videos.
So when you post a video on Facebook, does that count to your watch time?
Yes, it does. Yeah. So it's actually really interesting. If we may have time, we can look at some of the analytics. We can take a look at some of the analytics on the back end. It's really interesting to me how much information you can get from. You can see where people viewed, where your videos were embedded. I found that I've got a couple of videos from my martial arts days. A lot of my videos were being viewed on embedded players that I didn't embed. Somebody else embedded them on another site, but going through the analytics, I'm able to trace it back to where it was placed. So.
Cool.
So that was kind of fast and dirty. Hopefully you guys found some of that helpful. And with that, I'd like to open it up to any questions that you might have.
Two questions.
Yes.
First question is on monetization.
Yes.
Any ideas on monetization?
So you can run ads. You can monetize your YouTube channel and run ads. I think that is that's kind of an icing on the cake. If you're looking to monetize your videos, I think the best way, number one, is get a sponsor. So, or get a series of sponsors so that you can say this episode of Real TV is brought to you by blah blah blah.
Hi.
By Tide, right? I'm actually working with another WordPress developer, Greg Taylor, and what was the name of that? So our goal is to work up to where every episode he says, "Hi, this is Greg Taylor, and today we're going to talk about." But where we want to get to is, "Hey, this is Greg Taylor, and this episode of Marketing Press TV is brought to you by WPN," and then it goes into it. I think that's probably the best way to monetize. Creating swag, so T-shirts, mugs, caps, cups. When you're thinking of videos, always think of it as you're building an audience. If you were watching TV, it's the same psychological dynamic. So running commercials, paid sponsorship, having T-shirts and things like that, swag is good. Creating members-only content. So for my YouTube channel, for example, as I'm rebuilding it, I want to have special content that is exclusive to certain groups, right? So I've got a special circle set up in Google Plus where only those people get to see it because it's set to private, and I only share it with the people in that circle. And once I get to that point, I'll have a payment system set up for it.
And also a second question.
Yes.
I don't know what your thoughts are on things like Vine or Instagram video, either that they can be monetized or they can be used for marketing.
I think they can be used for marketing. I don't think that they can be monetized. So I was reading an article about Vine recently. My view is, like I said, there's not much difference between YouTube and television. And Vine is restricted to, 6 seconds or something like that? That's a nice commercial, but you're not going to really create... Actually, let me rephrase. The first guy who creates an hour-long series out of 6-second video clips on Vine, he's going to be rich. Everybody who follows him is not going to do anything. So, I think they're amusing, but... Now, I should also point out, I love YouTube, but a lot of these practices are true whether you're on YouTube, Vimeo, any of them. I spend a lot of time talking about YouTube because it's the largest, and even if you are on one of these other platforms, you should be on YouTube as well. So, yes?
When you're using Google search and you type in something, it's a couple times the video pops up. How would we accomplish that? Let's say I want to put a video and I want people to search for that and my video is right there.
So that goes back to the SEO side of it. It's making sure that you have high watch times, that your it's one, that your keywords are right, your description is right, that helps. But it's more, is it good, compelling content? Are people watching it over and over and over again? That's what's going to make it pop in the Google search.
But when you type in certain search, do I put a text? In text, those words that they're typing, or how do they connect?
So in a perfect world, what they're typing would be similar to the title of the video. So if it's if you're trying to target people who are how to polish stones, okay, how to polish stones, that should be the title of your video. So how to polish stones -thestonepolisher.com is your headline. And then make sure it's really good and popular and everybody watches it so that when someone says how to polish stones, it pops.
So how are most people using YouTube to drive traffic to something else, or are they monetizing their actual YouTube? videos and channels?
So there's a couple of different ways that people are using it. I think that YouTube is a platform in the sense that most of your views are going to happen on YouTube, not on your website. I know a lot of people will create their videos and embed them other places. Most of what you're going to have to find is you're being found on YouTube, so you want to direct them to another action. Whether it's go to my website and find out more and sign up for my class, or buy my book, or whatever. But there's also people who are sending people to sites like Patreon, where it's a pay portal that allows people to make donations to support your channel, things like that, or crowdfunding sites.
Did you put an affiliate link in there?
Yeah.
Generally block that?
You can put it in the description. Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that I've noticed as far as monetizing is, lately I've been searching for a lot of stuff on YouTube, like how to do this, how to do that, and almost always when I click on a particular good sounding video, I'll have to watch an ad for 3 seconds or something. I don't know how does the YouTube creator get the relationship with Chrysler or whoever was running that.
So that's a functionality in YouTube that you can turn monetization on, and that just allows random ads to be run on your channel. So I don't know much about it, but in the sense of it using AdWords, AdWords. But you have the option to run ads on Google, or you can run ads anywhere, but you can also run them on YouTube videos. I think it's their display option, or something like that. So yeah, it's.
So does the creator of the YouTube video get any of that?
Yes, they do, but it's halves of pennies on the dollar. So unless you've got a really big subscription base, and even those who do, they say it's nice, but that's not the way to make money on YouTube. That's just a little extra bonus. Really, what you want to do is try to sell them on something.
Is it pay-per-click or pay-per-display?
It is pay per display, but it's you have to watch. The person has to go past 5 seconds in order for them to pay.
As soon as it says you can skip.
Yep. And for the people running the ads, that's kind of good, right? Because they didn't have to pay for that. If it got skipped, they didn't have to pay for it. Yes.
So I wanted to go back to that last question. I want to be 100% clear. I'm only interested in driving traffic to the 2 sites that I have. And so it's the best practice to have a really nicely set up YouTube page versus embedding the videos in the website in order to get the traffic to it.
Yes. And the reason for that is now you still want to embed them on your site. But what I'm saying is that most of the views that you're going to get from what I've seen, people are going to find you and watch you on YouTube. They're not going to. There will be plenty of people who go to your site, but you've already got them on your page, so you're not really worried about them. The people that you're going after, they were on YouTube already, and so they went to you. They saw your video, it was a suggested video or something like that, and you want to tell them, hey, now click this. You can literally say, now click here and go visit my website, and you drive traffic that way. So it's all really about your call to action. What do you want them to do?
So you embed the videos twice on, or just on YouTube?
So you upload it to YouTube, and then you embed the YouTube video onto your website.
Okay, do it that way instead of embedding it into your website. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
In terms of driving traffic, Twitter, you can have a photo, now can that be a still frame from your video that's a link to the YouTube channel, or?
I think you'd have to do it manually, but yes. Yeah, if you were going to do it in Twitter.
I was going to ask, I'm over asking, but you said it's all about watch time, but what if is it a percentage of the total? Like if I have a 2-minute video and people watch all 2 minutes of it, is that better than having 5-minute video and somebody watches 2 minutes of a 5-minute video.
Yes. Yeah, the more.
They take the length overall.
Yeah, it's the average watch time. So when you see these sites that say, oh, we can get you so many views, we'll get you 10,000 views or whatever, that actually will hurt you because a lot of times it's a robot that goes on, watches your video for 2 seconds and drops off. And so that's bringing down your average watch time. You have more views, but less watch time. So. Don't hurt yourself, man. Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about your business and what you do?
Sure. So, like I said, I'm a video producer. So, I help medium, small size businesses build their presence on YouTube, and I start everything from